And thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate the opportunity to tell you a little bit about us. Like Jen said, my name's Garrett Fons. I am the president of the Dave Fons Memorial Fund. Andy DeCrane is also here, as Jen said. He's a board member, and our vice president is Courtney Sprague. So they're going to be kind of chiming in as I go through this, but a little bit more about Andy and I, since we're pretty much the ones focusing on the presentation. Andy and I both work for a contractor, a paving contractor here in Florida. I am a construction manager, and he is an executive vice president. The company is Ajax Paving. We're a large-scale asphalt paving company that employs up to right around 600 employees. We have over 100 commercial vehicles we own on the road every day, and we use hundreds of broker trucks on any given day. So as we talk through this, Andy and I are very involved in the trucking industry, and you'll kind of hear how we leverage that to promote safety. So today I'm going to talk about the truck fund, the Dave Fons Memorial Fund. I'm going to talk about who we are, why we do it, and what we're doing to make a difference. And then Andy is going to finish this up. Andy's going to talk to everybody and give everybody an insight on what good trucking companies do to ensure that they have the safest trucks on the road, or the safest drivers on the road, I should say, and safest trucks. It goes hand in hand. So who we are, we're a nonprofit that was started that advocates for truck safety. We started in 2017. We primarily operate in Michigan and Florida. And what sets us apart from a lot of organizations with similar interests is we're very pro-trucking. So we feel that by promoting truck safety from within, we get a lot of gain. And we like to recognize safe drivers and recognize safe companies. And most of our donations and support comes from the trucking industry, which is pretty amazing. So these trucking companies are spending money with us so that we can go out and promote. And I think it's kind of unique. We've met some other organizations, and I think we have a unique advantage. So the reason why, and there's a picture of my family and I. The reason why, in 2017, as Jen said, my dad was involved in a fatal crash here in Fort Myers while visiting my family. He was driving a rental car on a local road here when a truck failed to yield on a red light, and my dad was T-boned, likely passed away at the scene. It was a very tough time for my family and I, and family, friends, but we knew we had to do something. And it was really ironic the way my dad lost his life, because he was involved in the aggregate and construction business his entire life. He'd been around trucks, he had owned trucks. So my family and I and friends, we had to find a greater meaning in his passing. And essentially, short time after his accident, this was started. And we initially wanted to help families in our position, and that was important to us. And we've been able to expand and do so much more. And now our focus is still to help families and even truck drivers involved in bad accidents and whatnot, help them out. But also now we're really trying to prevent these tragedies from happening in the future. So, so what are we doing? We're doing a lot of great things, which I'm so proud of. I listed some out here, but we kind of focus in three major areas. We improve safety by supporting education. We promote safety by advocating, spreading awareness, and supporting the trucking industry. Again, like I said, we're unique. And then lastly, we're a resource for families affected by truck-related accidents, and that's something that we're always going to be passionate about. That was our initial mission, and we've been able to do so much more. So as far as supporting education, we do a lot with scholarships. We give anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 a year away in scholarships. We do some college scholarships through the transportation associations in both Michigan and Florida. We've done veteran scholarships for veterans that want to become truck drivers. I think that's really unique. It's a way to give back to the business. We do a lot of industry-related scholarships. We also sponsor trainings. We help find speakers for companies that are looking to have a training or somebody to come speak at a safety event or whatnot. And then, yeah, we support all training opportunities. We look for ways, we share training opportunities for companies on our social media, send it out an email blast to our supporters. So supporting education has been a big part of what we've done. Promoting safety through advocacy, spreading awareness, and supporting the trucking industry. This is kind of our core area. We share our story. I look for any opportunities such as today to get out and tell everybody about us and about my dad's accident. I think it's important that we share that. So I've had the privilege to speak at a lot of safety days and different things. And I've had so many truck drivers, they hear our story and they love that we're not anti-trucks. They come up and shake my hand and I think that's, again, a big advantage we have. We've been able to touch those guys. They don't shut down because we don't bash trucks. We're not big fans, obviously, of unsafe trucks, but we definitely like to promote the companies and the truck drivers that do the right thing. And as you can see, the screen that Andy shared, there's a couple of truck drivers there. And I'll get into that in a minute. We host fundraising events. We do a golf outing in Michigan. That's our major event in July. And then in September, we host a fishing tournament here in Florida. And I'm proud to say we've been doing the golf tournament now. This will be our 8th year. We've sold out every single year. We've raised a lot of money. We've had great participation. Our fishing tournament has gone to the next level. Last year, we had about 250 people come out for a fishing tournament to benefit truck safety. It's amazing. That was one of my fears, is not getting people excited about this. People, well, we know we got to be safe around trucks. No, people are very excited. People want to be involved. And our events grow every year. We get new people. We have to expand, and it's been really exciting. So our fundraisers are not only a way to generate funds, but a way to get our message out to so many people. We partner with other organizations such as the IST. We work with the Michigan Center for Truck Safety, the FTBA here in Florida, the Florida Transportation Builders Association, MITA in Michigan, the Michigan Infrastructure Transportation Association. We partner with anybody that will give us a voice and give us a chance. Some of the spreading awareness and supporting the trucking industry. We offer free safety signs. You can see there's one there with New Line Transport. I was able to speak at a safety event they had asked for these safety signs. These are pretty cool. We donate them free of charge. All we ask is that they put them up at their facilities. And we get a lot of calls that people see these signs at different aggregate mines or asphalt plants or concrete plants. And people are like, are you related to Dave Fons? And I get to tell them the story. And just, there's nothing that makes me more proud to see that at a facility or at a pit or even on job sites. They're actually kind of all over. So it's great to see that, and it's been a big hit. We do a lot on social media. We have a beautiful website that Courtney rebuilt this year. It's really amazing. If anybody gets a chance, please check it out. Really proud of that. We do a lot with Facebook and LinkedIn, Instagram, those different types of platforms. Let's see, I made a little list here so I didn't miss anything. We participate in other events with similar goals of road safety. So Mothers Against Drunk Driving, we participate in their events here in Florida. We go to their walks and different things. We attend trade shows. We set up a booth. We spread awareness that way. We do an annual newsletter that we send out. I talked a little bit about this. We assist veterans in getting their CDL, so we're supporting the trucking industry. Again, we're on the inside, which I think is pretty amazing. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is we do a Safe Driver of the Month, and these couple of truck drivers that you see, they're standing in front of their truck and sitting in their truck. These are people that were nominated, and that the roll-off dumpster guy standing in front of his truck there. These were truck drivers that were nominated and selected by the board to receive a a $250 check and a letter of appreciation that we appreciate what they do. Um, they're typically put in by a supervisor, a coworker. They can't put themselves in. That's the one thing we say. They've got to be nominated by somebody within their organization. But typically it's a dispatcher, a safety officer, somebody that knows these drivers. And I'll tell you, it's very rewarding to recognize these folks. They're out there doing the right things. And if we can get more people to do the right things, the roads are going to be safer. Oh, and I did forget about the billboards as well. You can see the billboard there. We have active billboards up in Michigan and Florida, 12 months a year, and it's awesome to get calls on the billboards. Right now, we have one on I-75 here in Fort Myers. Gets a lot of views. A lot of people are seeing that. So, and we're always looking for new ways to make a difference. So we're always open to suggestions. If anybody on this meeting wants to send us anything, send it through the website, reach out. We'll take the idea and run with it. And the last thing I want to leave everybody with before I turn this over to Andy is we're always going to be a resource for families. That was our initial mission. We wanted to help families in our situation, and the families that we've been able to help, it's been good. It's been very rewarding, and you feel like you're making a difference with those families. And like I say, that's not limited to a passenger car. If a truck has an accident and goes off the road and it's a single, we're here to support the trucking industry and the traveling public. And like I say, I think we've made a positive impact by being kind of in the middle and not being anti-trucks, not being anti-traveling public, but saying, hey, let's share the road, let's work together. And we've had a lot of success. So again, thank you so much for letting me talk about who we are and what we do and why we do it. With that said, I'm going to turn this thing over to Andy. Andy's got a presentation to give you a little insight on good companies and what they do to ensure they have the safest drivers and trucks on the road. Thank you, guys.
Do you think should we pause now do we have any questions maybe about the fund maybe before we get started on the fleet safety portion?
I have one.
Okay. I'll stop sharing so we can see, everybody can see for a minute. Yeah, there we go.
First, thank you, Garrett, for sharing everything that you guys are doing. We truly appreciate you guys. How do you pick, how do you select this with the safety awards that you give out? How do you determine who gets those? Are companies giving you recommendations?
Yeah, so, and Courtney, if you want to speak to any of this, because Courtney definitely helps organize it, but we have a link on our website. It's a page that you can click on, and there's a short form to fill out. And then at the end of every month, during one of our, we do biannual or bi-weekly meetings, board meetings. That's part of our agenda is to go through those safe drivers. So, if we get 5 to 10 nominees, we'll go through them. Courtney will read through and talk about why they were nominated and the things that they do. And then we select up to 2 drivers in each state per month. And the one thing that we definitely make them give us a picture. We want to post, we want the driver to be proud. We want other drivers to see that, other companies to see that. Not only does it promote the driver, it promotes the company and that they're taking safety serious and they're supporting somebody like us. I mean, that anybody that's ever run a nonprofit, that's one of the hardest things to do is to generate funds. And truck safety is not the most glamorous thing. People don't, it's not like some of these other nonprofits. So we've been fortunate and we've had great participation. And again, a lot of it comes from the trucking industry. And I think this is the reason they get excited about it. And so that's pretty much how we do it. And if a driver doesn't get selected for a month, they stay in the hat. So if we do have, there's been months that we've only had um, one driver nominated, but they stay in the pen. And there's drivers that we've rejected. They don't meet the qualifications, or we don't like what was, written about them.
And I'll just add, a lot of the companies that nominate these drivers, you'll hear more about this when Andy speaks, but they have a lot of good protocols, rating systems for safety. So a lot of these guys being nominated or women being nominated are either, you know, the top driver that year in terms of safety, or that month or that quarter, or however they're kind of qualifying their safety behavior. So a lot of the times it's very like cut and dry that these safety directors are contacting us and saying, this driver was our, you know, safest driver for 2024, or, you know, the second quarter, or whatever it is. A lot of these companies have really great, you know, rating systems for safety, ways to manage their drivers and to watch their safe behaviors. And so that's great. And so when we're announcing these safe drivers on social media, a big part of that is also recognizing the companies, because a lot of these companies that are nominating drivers have really great protocols in place for safety.
So I'll be covering kind of two major topics. The two major topics are your fleet safety program and then your cameras and telematics, which I call the cameras and telematics like the next level stuff. So the foundational stuff is what you're doing to recruit drivers, what you're doing to vet the drivers. That's kind of like your first line of defense when you're selecting a driver. So going through just a quick overview of the fleet safety program, the driver selection, the driver training, policies and accountability, the maintenance and safety checklists, accident reporting and investigation, and monitoring and evaluate. So those are the things we'll cover real quick here with the fleet safety program.
Okay.
So driver selection, this is like the bottom. You have to do this. Not a lot of companies do all four of those on there, but we do. And Garrett knows this well. Our HR manager she came from the trucking industry. Just that was by luck. But she came from the trucking industry. She got a very good background in trucking, so which ended up working out well for us. So the MVR is a motor vehicle record. That's like the bottom. That's the bare minimum you have to do. We do a background check, which it comes up with criminal records, the safety performance history. This records all the accidents and their drug and alcohol. That's the Florida Highway Motor Carrier. And then the pre-employment screening program. This is all the violations. If they had like a scale violation, a light out, all those little violations. And the reason we do that, and this is where I say this is the next level, is the reason we do that is it kind of tells a story. I mean, if they're getting violations, all these little things all the time, that means they're probably not doing the other things. So that's a precursor to other big problems that they're probably going to have. So we, believe it or not, I mean, we had a guy the other day that he had a bunch of seatbelt violations. He was an owner operator. He wanted to come work for us, and we passed on him because he had a bunch of violations. And that's just like the precursor of something bigger that's going to happen. So the next thing we do once they're in the door, we do a driver test with one of our trucking foremen. So we have multiple foremans for each area. Like Garrett was saying, we have 100 commercial motor vehicles on there. About 70 of those are like heavy haul, dump trucks, what we call flow boys carrying asphalt, or low boys carrying equipment. So that driver will then do a test. Once they pass a test with the foreman, then they go into our 100-hour training program with a mentor. And what the 100-hour training program does, at first, they're just riding along. So they're going to ride along with their mentor. They got to do all the pre and post trip. They have to go through the specific checklist, and then the supervisor must sign off on that. Then once they pass that, they have to go through what they call a Smith system training, which is another program. It's a third party we use. And since we've had so many people going through the Smith system training, we've actually trained our foremen to be trainers for the Smith system. So we had them come in and train all our trucking foremen to be Smith system trainers, which has helped us just with scheduling and whatnot. So the next thing that you must do is the policies and accountability. And, and this gets sticky. You have managers that are really good at managing people. You got managers that maybe are new to managing folks. So, you got your standard conduct, your reporting and regulatory compliance, the driver training, the driver records, the driver eligibility. The managers, the foreman must manage and document the stuff and write people up when they have, standard conduct, misconduct and whatnot. So we provide management training for all our foremen as well. So they know how to have difficult conversations, to sit down with the folks and coach them through the process. So on this next slide, we're talking about maintenance and safety checklists, the driver vehicle or the DVIR. We do pre and post trips every day. We use Samsara, and they do the pre and post trips in there. So the mechanics automatically get any repair checks on that. So telematics for mileage and service intervals. I wrote in there, yeah, we do use Samsara. The annual vehicle inspections, we started doing this with a third party just for redundancy. So we have a third party come in and do the annual vehicle inspections for us. We felt like our guys are doing 125-hour service intervals or inspections on all our trucks and trailers. We felt like it was good to have a third party come in and do the annual inspections just for redundancy. So the service of our fleet. So we have them 100 commercial motor vehicles, but we also have well over 100 light duty vehicles on the road too. So which they have their own set of problems. Maintenance is one of them. We've negotiated good deals with dealerships where they do the service for us. And then we actually do all the heavy haul or the heavy duty services in-house in our shops. So incident investigations. This is you're going to have incidents when you're out on the road. I mean, last year we put 6 million miles on our vehicles last year. So it's important for us to kind of follow the steps once something does happen. So we have procedures in place. The on-site supervisor must report that incident to the safety department and fill out a report within 24 hours. And this stuff, this after action report, we started probably like, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. And what this does is kind of like lessons learned. It's before we had the cameras, we used to say the near misses are a game film, like in sports. You watch the game film after a sporting event, and then you learn from your mistakes. So fortunately, now we have the cameras in there, so you learn from that. But after 48 hours, we got to do an after action report, and you get lessons learned and feedbacks, and that's actually from the supervisor in each area. Oh yeah, on the bottom here, if an incident involves another motorist, we hired investigative engineer to recreate the accident just to document everything. So monitoring and evaluating, we do employee performance reviews. Not that long ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, we just did annual employee performance reviews. Since then, anybody that's managing anybody, you can't just do an annual review with the person if you're managing them properly. So them foremen, like I was saying before, the driving foreman or the trucking foreman, they do monthly meetings now with hot topics and communicate and get feedback from the drivers because they're seeing what's on the road here. And I don't know if you've driven in the state of Florida, but it's tough driving out there. A lot of traffic, a lot of people that don't know exactly where they're going. So it's a very very tough environment to be driving in. Whoop. Back up a minute. So the telematics for monitoring the fleet, and the cameras for driver coaching, and we'll kind of get into that in the next segment. But we also use the cameras to score our drivers, and they get reviewed weekly with the supervisor of that person. So I'm going to pause there before I go on to the telematics and camera. So I'll stop sharing if anybody's got any questions, from the kind of that base.
Andy, me again.
Yeah.
Are your vehicles traveling just within Florida and or Michigan? Or are
Yeah,
you,
so we're actually separated from Michigan, so they're just traveling.
okay,
So we're intrastate,
okay,
and we're on the short haul exempt. So we only travel. They come back and they start and stop in the same spot. So they leave a
got it.
yard. They drive their personal vehicles here. They leave the yard. They come back in the same spot. So that was a
Okay,
good question. So
thank you. Anyone else before Andy moves on?
I have a little quick question.
yep.
Sure. Hi,
Can you hear
Lori.
me? Can you hear me?
We
I,
can.
I just, I just want to know if these guys know Mike Santee
Mike
from Nagel,
Santi,
from Nagel,
S-A-N-T-I.
yeah, from Nagel Paving.
Nagel paving? No, I
Oh,
don't.
okay.
You know him, Garrett?
I just,
You know,
in Michigan.
Andy and I are actually both originally from Michigan, but I definitely know a lot of guys from Nagel. I don't recognize the name, but I know my family and the people in the industry up there that we've been around our whole lives probably know him if he's been around. But Nagel has a very good name in Michigan.
Well, that's my brother. That's the only reason I was
Oh,
asking.
good.
Okay. That was all, that was my only question.
Thanks, Lori. Okay.
All right. Well, we'll kind of roll into the telematics and
We'll have more time too
yeah,
after.
yeah. Let me share again. So the camera and telematics. So like I was saying, this is kind of the next level stuff. This is stuff that people should be doing. Hopefully, maybe it'll be mandatory at some point, but it's a game changer. So just to touch on, you know, why we started and what we learned so far and what we're going to be focusing on moving forward. So why we started, and this is kind of a good segue into a key point that I want to make too is no matter how people start using these cameras, it's good. You know, and I think companies like Samsara do a good job of marketing and having a good wide array. So the reason we started back in 2019, we noticed, hey, we're having a lot more vehicles. The state of Florida is a very litigious state too. So that was the original reason we started. So we lacked critical evidence and incidents to involving our drivers. We didn't know what was happening. And a video, I'll play a video here in a little while. Sometimes when a driver is involved in an incident, they can't remember stuff. They really just, they don't know what happened. So what we've learned, we've learned that we're not perfect, that's for sure. Once we got the inward cameras in, we had a lot of coaching behaviors that started happening. We did have some pushback from people. I think the trucking industry as a whole is doing a very good job of introducing these cameras. So we're seeing more drivers that are coming in the door that are used to it now, and it's not a big deal. But we lost a few people. We've seen better behaviors. We have the details of accidents that we didn't know in the past. So, and that there's different vendors that have different platforms, and the ease of installation, the ease of use can vary widely. So, this is Rick. He's not a truck driver, but he's a grade foreman. So Garrett and I have been at Ajax for over 18 years now, and Rick was on a few of our first jobs, and he's kind of a pain in the butt. So anybody that knows construction industry, you can definitely have some rough guys out here. Well, he pushes back on everything. So we videoed him a little bit after he's had the camera in there for a while. So I'll go ahead and play this. I think I'm sharing audio too, but if we can't, can you guys hear the audio? No? Okay. Let me stop sharing and make sure I'm sharing audio here. Okay, share. Where's audio at?
Harry, do you know how to?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, perfect.
Can you guys hear it or no?
No.
You just got to bring the volume up.
Oh. Okay. Oh. What was that, Dave?
Yeah, it's not coming up. I know he turned up the volume. I can barely hear it.
Okay, let me see if I can adjust the volume. If not, we can skip this portion.
Well, there is closed captioning there. We can read it.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
he's saying.
that's true.
Yeah.
Laura, thank you. And if you are reading along, and I did watch this previously, thank you, Andy, for sharing. You know, the gist of it is here's a driver who was resistant, and he learned quickly that they do actually work.
Yeah, I'll stop there. I mean, you kind of captured that for me. Plus, you know, Rick now has over a 90 score. So I mean, so he gets very minimal infractions. So
Yeah, real quick, Andy, I just want to add to this. Rick is a driver that's had a license for a long time, and he was doing some things that were probably the way he learned to drive. And you know, you're never too old to learn new tricks. And he didn't. One thing about Rick is, you know, going 86 on the interstate was like nothing for him. It was just a way of doing business. And you saw that he got a call. And so many of these drivers, like Andy said, his score is now 90. We had drivers when this first came out, I thought, I'm not going to be able to find anybody to drive our trucks because nobody can pass. Well, we have a lot of really good drivers. It has been so effective to make people better drivers. And that's the point I want to drive home with that video is people don't realize they're bad drivers until they either see themselves on camera or they start having the camera, and that camera, Andy's going to talk a little bit more, actually coaches within the vehicle as well. So I'll let Andy.
and something to mention there too on the driver scores is our commercial vehicles have the highest driving score too. So which I'm pretty proud of because they report down to me too. So report up to me. So so moving forward, we hired Sam Sarah, which has been a great partnership. Right now, we're focusing on safety, driver training, reducing liability, and fleet management using their program.
And if I could just take the opportunity, Dave Mitchell, who's been with us before, is here today with Samsara. So I'm sure it's great.
Loving the presentation.
Oh, sorry. Thanks for being here, Dave.
Absolutely.
So the safety, but while using these cameras, accident documentation, the onboard camera offers critical evidence for incident scenarios. So near miss documentation, we always struggle with near miss documentation. There's stuff happening out on the construction job site that stuff happens and there's so many near misses, but it's hard to get it documented all the time. The cameras do that for you in the vehicles. It's an amazing tool. Driver monitoring, the cameras promote safer driving practices, and they actually talk to you. So if you're speeding, they'll actually tell you to slow down. If you grab your cell phone, they'll tell you to put your phone down, and so on and so forth. So it's been a huge success here. Yeah, driver training, the footage serves as valuable training tool. So our current system, Samsara, it coaches in the cab, which our past system did not do that. The coaching in the cab it's like having a manager there with you. So the safety team is alert of any safety infraction. So, you know, if somebody swerves fast, if they stop fast, if they roll through a stop sign, we have all those parameters set up, and it goes out to the safety team or their manager right away too, so that you can manage in real time. And that's really important too, to manage in real time. Our safety team reviews the driver scores weekly, and then they assign coaches. So we have our safety team of 5 safety managers. They'll review the safety infractions weekly, and then they'll go ahead and assign coaches. Sometimes Garrett's a coach for his area, depending on who the driver is. and then they have to go and talk with them and sit down with them. And there's different levels of infractions as well. So reducing liability, evidence collection. I talked earlier about people don't know what happened when a tragic event happens. They just your mind blanks out. So we've had instances where we've had fender benders and, hey, what happened? Did you I don't know. Yeah, they don't know, or they think they know, and the story is completely false. So exonerating drivers, a fraud deterrent. We had a rash of this for a while. That I think a lot of these fraudulent accidents have calmed down because people are putting these cameras in. They're putting it in their personal vehicles as well. So you're seeing kind of a downtick in that. I'm going to show a video next. This was not a fatal crash. Everyone walked away from this, fortunately, but and then there's going to be one of our drivers going to talk. Let me try to figure out this volume thing real quick before I share this. So just to point out, this is not a Samsara video. This was a previous thing. I blacked out the company up top, but
before driving for Ajax, I never had a driver-facing camera or a front-facing camera. I wasn't
Can
really
hear
sure how
him,
to feel
just
about it.
barely.
I think I'm a good driver, but I didn't think I really needed one. After joining Ajax, I knew they had cameras in the trucks, and unfortunately, I ended up getting into an accident, and I wasn't sure if it was my fault. After the accident, I got to watch the video, review the footage, and it kind of put me at ease, and it let me re-watch and, unfortunately relive the moment, but I got to, in the end, see it wasn't my fault and that my company wasn't at fault. After the accident, I definitely do appreciate having the cameras in the vehicles, knowing that it protects me and everyone else. I know some people may be apprehensive about having the cameras in their trucks. They may feel like it's an invasion of privacy. But when you're in a situation like I was, you would definitely appreciate having one watching your back.
So a key point to that is I didn't know if it was my fault. Like this gentleman he didn't understand what happened. That truck had, if you look at the video, there was a box truck that was turning right and blocked the view of the passenger car that pulled out. We've talked to that family actually several times. Just for the sake of promoting Samsara a little bit too, I put an example of one of their videos in here just for the clarity. There is volume on that. That guy, I was kidding around with Jen the other day. He looks like a pretty serious driver. Something else to point out is too, we went with all these orange seatbelts so that the camera can detect them better too, because we were having problems with the camera because the camera can detect if the seatbelt's on or not. So now I can visually see that. So we've made a couple changes on that for our new vehicles. So we don't need to watch that whole video, but. So something to mention, on top of the cameras and the fleet safety is fleet management and maintenance. So we track our assets. All our equipment's integrated with GPS, so we can real time monitor. We use Samsara in the rolling stock. The heavy yellow iron we use Vision Link. The other notable thing about the Samsara, we got 100 of those commercial vehicles. They're all set up so we can actually see the vehicle fault codes on there too. So the mechanics use those when they get called out to the job and say, hey, this truck's not running right. They can actually go on their app, look at that, and actually have the truck up and running. So the maintenance intervals and the service inspections are very important too. We do 125s on all our stuff. All our trucks come through the shop at 125 hours, which is pretty regularly. So when you're when you're running it as much as we are. So I'll stop sharing there, and we can have a dialogue, or if you have any questions regarding the presentation.
Hey, Andy,
Thanks, Andy. That was great.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. Clearly Ajax is doing a lot of great things, and I think it's really interesting just to see how drivers have changed their opinion, thoughts on the cameras. Does anybody
Yeah.
have any questions for these guys?
Andy, this is David. I just wanted to kind of double down. I learned a lot on this presentation. I mean, I know working for Samsara, I know a lot about the electronic side of things, but I loved hearing you talk about fleet safety and just some of the basics, the fundamentals of really investigating what drivers we're hiring. So helpful. I liked how you talked about having a couple levels. So first was kind of the fleet safety program. The second level was what you call cameras and telematics. We really call that the safety platform. So really getting away from that word camera, because it does raise goosebumps. And we're actually going to be introducing some things that don't use quote unquote cameras, but has the ability to do the same kind of AI on the driver. So there's no concerns around privacy because there's not a camera footage of the driver. There's some benefits and downfalls to that, but in places like Europe where privacy is a huge issue, some of the newer technology that will be introduced and will address that. The third level, and you touched upon it quite a bit here throughout this, is really training. And what I will say, you're doing kind of person-to-person training. We've implemented some automated training for those really large fleets where you can't get 1,000 drivers in the room. And the great thing about the automated training is that coaching not only, dings somebody if they're doing something wrong, but will also give the attaboy or attagirl if they do something well. So now you can recognize 100 drivers for being great at what they do every week if you want, versus, just putting one guy on stage once every 6 months, that sort of thing. But the coaching will really not only help your worst drivers, it will lift the entire fleet. So we don't recommend you just hit the lowest drivers with training. There are ongoing trainings to just remind everybody so that they don't get complacent and kind of lift the whole fleet. But excellent presentation. And I've also heard customers who have been involved with fatalities and that exoneration thing, someone pulls through a stop sign, completely ignores the stop sign, truck's going 50 miles an hour. The driver walks away with, I don't know what happened. And the team can replay the video and show them that, listen, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't, you were driving safely on this road. You were doing all of the right things. This was an unavoidable, what I'll call crash, because somebody on the other side did something that they shouldn't have done. So really good presentation.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, and that's why it's great that companies like Samsara are out there in marketing. And we do have the audio shut off. The state of Florida, you have to notify every passenger that gets into the piece of equipment that there's audio recording. So we do have our audio shut off of our cameras for privacy purposes. We haven't really felt like that's hindered us in any type of investigation and coaching. So it's worked out well. But I can see the cameras in Europe and whatnot being an invasion of privacy. So.
If you were to go to another company, what would you tell them? What are the one or two things that they really should implement, put in their vehicles?
Well, I do approve of the cameras and telematics, or the what were you calling that, Dave?
Yeah, just a safety platform. I think one of the things that's very helpful is that real-time in-cab coaching. So if someone's following too close, or if they're tired, maybe they're moving out of the lane, drowsiness detection, just that wake up, pay attention, get back in your lane, for a late night driver. I mean, that can save a life. So just that in-cab coaching is more important than just, you've got the video, you can look at the video after the crash, but you really want that in-cab coaching.
The in-cab coaching. So
that real time.
Our biggest thing, and Garrett sees this too, we not only on the trucking side, we take safety serious with our personal PPE on the jobs, job site safety. We do what we call internal traffic control plans on every project every day. So that allows the workers that are on foot knowing where the vehicle traffic is on a particular job. So we take it real safe, real serious. The biggest thing we like to see is other companies doing it around us. A lot of our subcontractors are taking what we do and then utilizing it in their company. And that's probably the biggest thing we love to see is like, wow, these guys are looking at us. They're coming onto our job sites. Now they're taking what they've learned from us and implementing in their company. So, but yeah, if I was going to pick one thing, it would definitely be like the safety platform, like Dave's talking about, the cameras in the vehicles. We've seen a lot of trucking companies that we use for inbound aggregate into the plants. They're all moving towards having these in their vehicles. So, and it's really great to see.
Yeah, one step further, even the sorry, Kate, I was just gonna say, even the companies that just broker the trucks, they're requiring the cameras and they're making sure that the trucks that are working as a subcontractor or a brokered truck are meeting their, and if they fall out of that safety score, they're no longer eligible. So it's really motivating. That's not trucks that they own. That's a subcontractor or a brokered truck. So that's part of their safety plan is to the driver's responsible to install these cameras and give the company the direct access and the scoring system. So even companies that don't own trucks but manage and dispatch trucks are taking advantage of this.
Yeah. Kate?
I just want to thank you for the excellent work that you're doing, and I'm very sorry about the loss of your father. I especially like that you're very proactive with who you hire, and I wish a lot of other companies were as proactive as you were. So thank you.
Thank you, Kay. That means a lot. That was the one thing I was going to say. If I was to give advice to a company, be slow to hire, quick to fire, as far as with drivers. And Ajax does an excellent job vetting their drivers. And in a market, especially here in Florida, that's extremely busy, it's hard to find employees. And then it's even harder to find qualified employees. Believe it or not, Ajax has all these beautiful trucks that you saw in the videos. We have trucks sitting because we don't have,
Yeah.
we're not going to lower our standards. The
Yeah, we've
ownership.
had 5 trucks, kind of 5 to 7 trucks the past year and a half that had been sitting. We're actually up to 2 right now. We're short 2 drivers.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
the thing that I want to stress. Like, if we can get other companies to have that mindset, because it costs money to park a truck. A lot of companies have payments on vehicles, but I can tell you, Ajax is never going to take that chance of putting somebody that's not qualified or has a poor driving record behind the wheel. And that's just always going to be, and that's the number one thing that I try to drive home is it's not worth it. Don't take that chance on that questionable driver.
Well, if we, thinking back to Rick, your driver, Laura made a good point about, drivers can become complacent. And I think Rick shows us that there's hope that, even he who was resistant to these cameras changed his tune when he saw that it was improving his driving. So that's really, really good. We are past 5:15, almost at 5:30. Does anyone else have anything?
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for having us and mention too, I see Harry's on there too, and Harry, Jen, and I just met John today, but you guys have a great group. I think you guys understand Washington. I've been there a couple times to your office. I feel like, sometimes when you're dealing with Washington, sometimes it don't feel like a win, but it is a win. I mean, you got to take the little wins, right? I mean, so I think Harry really understands that, and I know John does from talking with everybody. So the stuff that you guys are doing is great too. Thank you for that, and we're glad to partner with you on that stuff. So that's why we're partnering with you. We don't have the resources and the means to do that. And the first time I met Harry and Jen, I was like, wow, these guys got it going on. So
Really appreciate you guys giving us your time today, as well as all of you for being here with us. So thank you, everyone.